Hello everybody, Crypto Chaperone here, and today I'm going to talk to you guys real quick about the markets and some things that have been going on in cryptocurrency world. I haven't been very prominent in the last couple days, more or less the last week. I've hit a few numbers profit-wise that I've set in short-term goals for myself in cryptocurrencies that I hit a lot sooner than I thought I would, so I kind of just decided to relax this week and take it easy from cryptocurrencies. For the good, based on some of the news that I'm going to be talking about. I'm not sure if I would have got tied up in any of this news, but who knows. And as well as it's also been really nice weather where I live, so I've been enjoying that with my family before, the snow front hits again, which is expected to start coming in the next couple of days. So I've been just trying to enjoy my actual life aside from cryptocurrencies and this whole community and atmosphere that mostly consumes most of my life aside from my personal life. So today we're going to take a look at the markets. As you can see, our market cap's sitting at about $654 billion. Now, over the past 24 hours, we have had a ton of FUD and just a bunch of fear going on in the markets because there's actually news I'm going to take a look at that Korea has actually... They're putting a bill together, more or less, that is trying to ban cryptocurrencies from Korea and Korean exchanges. So essentially the bill has not been finalized or anything like that, but it could put a damper on cryptocurrencies. Essentially, as you guys know, throughout this week, CoinMarketCap did take Korean won prices away from their moving averages or whatever their just regular averages of their coins throughout the just its daily calculations. So it's kind of weird that right after they decided to do this, you had all this information about Korea wanting to get rid of their or ban cryptocurrencies. So who knows what kind of influence that could have had if they wouldn't have taken that away from the average. I know there are websites out there that you can still see the average of all the cryptocurrency exchanges because they didn't remove the Korean won from their average, but it's kind of weird that they would decide randomly to remove that right before this whole situation. I mean, I wasn't paying too much attention to anything that was going on, so maybe something did leak that they were just aware of it beforehand or whatnot and just decided to take action a little early, but who knows. But that did cause a major dip earlier in the week. As you saw, people thought there was like $100 billion pull out of the market, but in reality, crypto market cap, coin market cap more or less, just decided to disassociate the Korean won with the average of the cryptocurrencies that is showing on its live tickers. So that did cause a little bit of a pullback. And then yesterday there was a major dip in cryptocurrencies. I think it was about 8 o'clock, 7 or 8 o'clock. Well, it depends where you're at. I think it was about right when the Korean markets opened up, more or less. And I think that was right when the news started to spread about all this, the cryptocurrency bill ban going through. So, there was a ton of action going on in those in the Korean sector of cryptocurrencies, and the markets took a major dip because people were just essentially trying to pull their cryptocurrencies out as fast as they could, which could have led us to potentially what I'm going to talk about now. So if you've wanted to check anything about your Ethereum addresses or anything about your transactions, if you use Etherscan.io, over the past few hours, or over the past more or less the half day that I've been trying to access this, it has been offline, and they've just pretty much had this little memo here that says that it is currently offline and should be back up shortly. But it's so far as I've seen, it's been offline for about 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours. So I'm not sure how long it's going to be offline. Essentially, I saw that it was offline just due to a high congestion on the Ethereum network. Potentially could be caused from the whole Korean bill ban going through. You have so many people who are deploying contracts on the Ether network daily. You have so many things that are running on the Ethereum network, and you have this news that comes out which could cause people to want to put their transactions through on the Ether network. They're setting as high transaction fees as they possibly can because they want to just get their money out. They don't want to lose anything. Prices are dropping so fast that people are just trying to get their money out and move it around, and if they're going to cash out into actual cash, they're trying to do it as quick as they can. So it's causing so much congestion in the market, and it's actually doing really bad for Ether at the moment. So I'm not sure if this has anything to do with it. Essentially, I saw a few people on Twitter saying that it was kind of correlated with the congestion of the Ethereum network is why this was down, but it might be server maintenance or whatnot. I'm not 100% sure, but essentially, all I could really see is a lot of people were just saying it was a congested Ethereum network. So I'm not sure if they are interrelated or not. So just want to keep that in mind. I am not 100% sure if there are any other ways to check your Ethereum transactions aside from other individual like platforms that you could go on to based on like whatever you have. If you have other tokens on the Ethereum network, and it gives you the opportunity to check your transactions through their platform. But I haven't really looked too much. I've been just trying to stay out of cryptocurrencies for this past week. So all this news and everything that's kind of just crashing down right now, I'm just kind of playing it real cool and all that, because it doesn't really involve me. In the retrospect, in the long-term outcome of cryptocurrencies, I think we're going to survive. We're fine, because as I've been talking about, you have one of the biggest distributions of wealth that happens in the year going on every year, and that is when people get their tax returns. So you have people who are hardworking Americans and people who are hardworking everywhere in the world that gets their tax returns. I think like Australia and places like that, they also get, depending on how much you claim and pay throughout the year, you can get a tax return. But mostly in the United States, the average American's tax return is about $2,500 to $3,000. And if there is the average person just getting that amount of money back in one lump sum, especially as you have average everyday people who are looking into this market more and more every day, there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to take probably 75 to 90% of that, and they're going to invest it into this market, whether it be for a short-term gain or a long-term gain, because they see potential in it. If they don't see potential, possibly just because they want to take the gains from the profits that they've seen so far from the growth. So I think that is what's going to boost us beyond a $1 trillion market. Even on CoinMarketCap, where they decided to disassociate the Korean won's price with the average prices of all the coins that are going on, I think we'll still easily surpass the $1 trillion market. I think it'll be probably by like the first couple weeks of maybe mid-February. I think we'll pass the $1 trillion market by then. So about a month from now, I think it give us to pass that. But I think this is just going to be one of those last little pullbacks that we have. Investors are really getting their money together. They're getting ready to invest in Bitcoin. They're getting ready to invest in all these cryptocurrencies. And essentially, that's why you've seen Bitcoin just kind of hovering around down in this price of $13,000 to $15,000 for so long. It was kind of down around the $15,000 and $14,000 range. And now it kind of just keeps doing these little humps every so often, which depending on how you look at it, it is kind of dropping over time. But there are sort of moves of accumulation going on. So that could be institutional money or whoever is just getting ready for the next big boom. And I've seen a lot of people talking about how the next big boom of Bitcoin is going to be going to $30,000+, which could be within the next month or so. So, as soon as you start seeing that boom going, people are going to be jumping on that, just like they jump on all these spikes of cryptocurrencies when it starts going on, just like Tron when it was up to 15 and 18 and 20 cents. People were all trying to buy it as quick as they could because they thought it was going up to 30 and 40 cents. And still, even as Tron is coming out with announcements and partnerships daily, and they keep coming out with all this information about them and developments, they're still not really moving in price because you had so much go on with their white paper. Charlie Lee, I saw, retweeted a tweet that was put out by somebody that talked about how Tron's white paper more or less was plagiarized. And in the cryptocurrency community, that is kind of looked down upon and kind of not, because a lot of these projects are open source, so they're kind of incentivizing people not to really steal their stuff, but to kind of build off of it and take it and to look at it and maybe even help them grow with it. So it's just more or less looked down upon that they didn't reference any of the projects like Filecoin, which they stole a lot of their white paper referencing from, but they didn't really reference it at all. They pretty much just copy and pasted it right out of Filecoin's white paper. So essentially, when you have something like that and they refuse to even want to reference it or give credit where credit is due, then you kind of have situations where people don't really think that the project is that credible anymore, more or less. So uh, I also saw that Justin Sun was a very good developer and all this stuff, and he was very prominent in this space. But even when you have a situation like that, where I mean, even if you're a very prominent developer, you should know to give credit where credit is due. You shouldn't be plagiarizing people. So I mean, the Tron over time, I think, is going to see a little bit of a dip, and you're going to see a lot of people just start to throw out their coins, and then I think it's going to start to rebound over a little bit of time. But essentially, just like any coin that kind of gets a negative publicity, it goes down for a little bit, and then people kind of forget about it because 1 minute in cryptocurrency is 1 day in the regular time. So after a couple days, that's like a few years in cryptocurrency time, and people just forget about it, and it never even happened. So some things that I've been noticing that I like is Ethereum's growth over the past couple of weeks it's been a very nice, slow, steady growth. And I just wanted to talk about this real quick, that it started down around the $650, $700 area, and it had a little bit of a pullback when all the cryptocurrencies kind of pulled back about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then it's kind of just had this slow growth, and it hasn't been anything that spiked up crazily that's caused people to sell off too quick or caused people to kind of look at it too quickly and dive onto it too quick. But it's had just like a slow organic growth over the past 2 weeks, and it actually reached up to a new all-time high over $1,300. And it was really nice until you had all this Korean news that came through, and now all this is just red, and it's just causing a lot of chaos in cryptocurrencies. But up until then, Ethereum was having a very nice growth, and there was I see a lot of growth in Ethereum in the future, and a lot of room for profit if you want to invest in Ethereum. Now, I want to also say that I am not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. But there's a lot of developments coming up for Ethereum over the next few months to a year. And as well, I just keep hearing that there are so many companies that keep talking about Ethereum and ERC20 and just the whole network and platform that it has to offer. There's so many people that want to just get into that and start building on that network. So I think you're going to have more people that are just interested in Ethereum as time goes on, just due to its capabilities in this space. So as we see, Ripple started to have a bit of a pullback. After they took out the Korean average price, Ripple had a major pullback because Korean prices were really fueling Ripple's average on here to massive levels. And that was what was really getting people to invest in this, because they thought that the Ripple price on here and all these other exchanges was going to kind of average out to the Korean price and all that. So as they were buying 30 and 40% higher, it was kind of chasing up the average of all these. And then they kind of disassociated the average with it, and everybody kind of thought Ripple was going to be getting added onto Coinbase like within the first week of January, and you haven't really heard much of it. So a lot of people were kind of having their doubts about it. As time sits and no information or news comes out, you have more FUD that comes out than good things about things. And essentially what I mean by that is just more people are starting to look into Ripple, and they're seeing that it does have close to 100 billion supply, and there's only 38 billion circulating right now. They're starting to see where the coins that aren't circulating, who actually owns these coins, and the developers, and that they do own a substantial amount of these coins. And when they do get unlocked from their wallets, these people are essentially going to become some of the richest people in the world. So people are just kind of taking that into consideration and realizing that this price might not be so stable for a long term. But I mean, cryptocurrencies are going to grow. So I assume just looking at all of these cryptocurrency prices now, even if you would look at them in 5 or 6 months, these are going to be very minuscule prices compared to what they are going to grow to be. So that's more or less all I've really got for you guys today. I want to finish up with just talking about this article that came out yesterday, and I was going to try to make a quick video, but I really didn't have enough time. I was out with my family doing stuff, so I just didn't want to rush onto it and do anything else throughout the day. But essentially what this is just an article on Forbes that came out, and it talks about how Goldman Sachs is now saying that Bitcoin is money. Now, they're not saying that Bitcoin is a dollar bill, it's going to be accepted for everywhere, and that it is going to become everything, but essentially they're saying that Bitcoin has the future of becoming a stable currency. Its price will stable once it starts to spread out to the masses, and that Bitcoin could be used as a medium of exchange for people who, if you want to buy a coffee or a drink, that Bitcoin could be a medium of exchange, just like gold or silver or something like that. And they are acknowledging that this could be a future currency, more or less, if people adopted it and stuff like that. They're not saying that anyone is looking to adopt it as a currency or anything like that at the moment, but they're saying that it does have the characteristics to fall under what a currency could be, and what it could fall into a barter system, or what I keep saying, a medium of exchange. So it's just it's very interesting that now one of the biggest banks in the world is saying that Bitcoin is now money, or could in the future be money, because people who were buying into Bitcoin to begin with, a lot of people were buying into Bitcoin because they think that it is going to be a future money, or that it has the future to become some sort of an asset, or something that you'll be able to use to pay for things. And essentially, people think that over time, the US dollar and all the other currencies of the world, like the euro and stuff like that, are going to collapse, and we're going to move to a digital currency. Just like you already have digital currencies when you send someone money on PayPal and stuff like that, you're not sending anybody physical money. The banks aren't sending money from one bank to another. They're sending digital codes to each other, and that is just essentially putting money that person could buy something with online, or take out in hard cash in person from their bank. But a lot of times this money is getting transferred from person to person, from bank account. If you're buying things on eBay and Amazon, it's going through PayPal and credit cards and all these other things, and it's not actually being traded through hard cash. It is just strictly electronic funds being moved around. So really, Bitcoin is already ahead of the time on that, because it is a very verifiable, solid electronic fund that can be sent to people, and it's got the blockchain technology behind it to support it. And as people start to, if the US dollar or the euro starts to collapse or anything like that, and people do start to move to digital currencies, or start to freak out and start to buy into something, I don't think they're going to buy into a digital US dollar or a digital euro, or send their money via that way. I think they're going to buy into an established currency, which could potentially be Bitcoin or Ethereum or any cryptocurrencies that we see, because any of them have the potential to make it long term. Even though I keep saying Bitcoin, I think, is going to be the king cryptocurrency, anything could really happen just based on where money wants it to go. You could have these big bankers come in, and I don't think Bitcoin could be crushed in the long term, but if they want to buy them all up and hide them, and buy into other cryptocurrencies and start moving those markets and never touch Bitcoin again, and make millions and billions off the other cryptocurrencies while just keeping Bitcoin hidden, and essentially Bitcoin would become more valuable because there'd be less in circulation that people were actually touching. But it depends just how many people adopt it. If they start making Litecoin more adoptable, or Ethereum more adoptable, and people start accepting that in more places, that cryptocurrency would become more of a medium of exchange than Bitcoin or anything like that. Or maybe the places will start implementing payments that'll start accepting multiple cryptocurrencies, or, as I've been talking about, places like Omisi Go want to act as kind of a middleman micropayments processor, and they want to act as a place that'll be able to exchange one cryptocurrency from a buyer to whatever the seller wants to receive, without either one ever knowing what they really want, or what the seller or the buyer had to begin with. All that there will be is essentially the seller could pay or want to get paid with Litecoin, and the buyer might pay with Bitcoin, and the seller never knows that the buyer paid with Bitcoin, and the buyer never knows that the seller wanted Litecoin. And Omisi Go would essentially convert those that transaction to whatever they wanted, and take a micro transaction out of the middle and send the rest over. And that's why I think cryptocurrencies have a big future, because things like that, you don't need to buy into the cryptocurrency that every place wants, because you'll have kind of these middlemen that'll cater to servicing, kind of like how I talked about how I just got my Shift card. You have a bank, the Metropolitan Commercial Bank is the bank that issues those, and essentially they're the middleman of that. So any Bitcoin that gets spent, they're giving out the cash for that, and that cash is going directly at the time of that card being scanned to the person that card is being scanned for, so whoever the merchant is. And that's what these cryptocurrencies are, and it's going to make it a lot easier for the everyday public to adopt these. So that's more or less all I've really got to talk to you guys about today. I made this a little longer than I wanted it to be, but in times like these in the red markets, all I can tell you guys is to hold, because cryptocurrencies have a bright future coming ahead of them. Aside from the news that you hear right now with South Korea banning, or Korea, essentially it'd be South Korea, because North Korea, they're very into cryptocurrencies, and they're actually they're starting universities to try to teach people over there about cryptocurrencies and how to code into cryptocurrencies and things like this. So but essentially it'd be South Korea more or less in their exchanges that are trying to crack down on cryptocurrencies. So even in red markets, guys, hold as tight as you can unless you are steadily in profits and you have something that you want to buy right now, because I think these are still, they're ever going to become ever growing assets, and these prices, you're going to regret it if you sell now. So that's all I've got for you guys today. I'm going to try to make another video for you guys tomorrow, but if I don't, I'm going to make another video for you guys as quick as I can. Hold in these red markets, and I'll talk to you as soon as I can, guys. Enjoy.